If I was starting my business all over from zero, I mean, no experience, nothing, this is what I would do. I broke it down into 10 steps of what I would really focus on. If you're new here, hello, my name is Tansy Linstall. I'm the creator and founder of The Modern Day Mystic. Now, these days, if you look at my content, you'll see that I specialize in helping holistic practitioners and spiritual consultants, spiritual readers, spiritual healers, spiritual coaches to create what we call high value offers. These are typically anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 and beyond for your clients to work on going with you. I have some clients that charge much more and some clients that charge a little bit less, but I typically recommend they start at a minimum of $1,500. But my business wasn't always this way. It wasn't always built around having a high value program and learning how to get clients using social media and heart-centered sales. In fact, when I started my business, I became an actual registered business back in 2013. I was offering intuitive energy healing sessions and psychic mediumship readings. I did this combined in what I called a soul alignment reading or session, and it was a combination of Reiki, chakra clearing and balancing, the intuitive readings, cord cutting, and it was a beautiful but really full session. So that's where I started my business, and things kind of blew up for me in a really incredible way that I was not seeing happen to a lot of my peers. And I started looking around and going like, what is the difference between what I'm doing in my business and what they're doing? How come I'm booking up months in advance? And in the very beginning, the first rate I ever charged was $125. Then it went to $150. Then it went to $200. Then it went to $250 and up to $300. So it's not like I was charging super low prices. Why was I getting so many more clients than my peers? And so if I was starting all over, I truly believe I could do this in a collapsed amount of time. Because in 2013, think back to how we were using social media back then. Wasn't quite the powerful tool that it is today. It has become more and more powerful over the years. So here's what I would do if I was starting from ground zero. Now, if you yourself are in the position where you're just starting your business or you want to get started sometime in the next 2 years, I would highly recommend taking some notes here. So the first thing I would do is the foundational things. I would look at my state or province and go, what do I actually need to become a business? I see some people want to push off setting their business up as an actual business and not wanting to claim any income, not wanting to pay any taxes. I would not do that. And here's why. The sooner you can start generating income and showing that you're generating income, being self-employed, especially if the goal is to one day step away from your 9-to-5, the longer you can show what your business has generated, the better for financing reasons. If you are self-employed, getting a mortgage, getting a loan, those things can be more challenging because lending institutions typically really, really like the security of having a job, a 9-to-5, knowing that you're going to have consistent income. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner, we don't always have that, especially in the early days. But the sooner you can start showing that you're generating income, the better that will look and the more established it helps your business to look. Of course, foundational things would also include, what are you going to call your business? What is the name that you're operating under? And what is the platform that you're going to use? I see a lot of new businesses get very hung up on having a very beautiful website. Nothing wrong with that. I personally prefer using social media. I like to have a website because I do believe it helps you to look more professional, but a website is like a still shot, right? It's like a picture, boom. But your social media and posting every day and showing up every day, that becomes like a movie, right? That becomes living, breathing. People can really feel your energy. So if I could only choose one, I would choose social media. And then I would get a real basic website up with like an about section and where people could book. That would be that place to put your testimonials. So that would be the first thing that I would do. The second thing I would do is I would get clear on what my signature session was. A signature session helps to set you apart from all the other readers and healers in your industry or in your direct area, right? And so often people say, well, why are you such a believer in signature sessions? This takes us out of the comparison mode. What is so-and-so charging? What do they offer? What do they include? It also allows, if you're like me, you likely have a wealth of knowledge and skills and different modalities. So why have different sessions? Why not have a premium signature session where it can be very, very easy as well? Because if new people are coming to your page and they see 20 different services, they're not going to know what to book. And so they're going to say, okay, let's take some time to think about this. And then more often than not, what happens is they tell themselves they're going to think about it, come back when they have time to look at it all, and then they don't. This loses you potential revenue. We want to simplify your offers. And most people who will pay $40 for a reading will happily pay $100 or $150, especially if it's a signature session where you're doing multiple things. Also, with your signature session, this gives you clarity on the process you're taking your clients through. Because instead of it being like, Kate, well, I'm going to sit down for my reading with my pen in hand and hopefully have some insight come through to share, you're going to have processes and things that you talk about with your clients and steps that you take them through. Plus, then as you begin to channel, you're going to channel in different areas and know exactly what is going to happen. Well, obviously, you're not going to know what insight spirit brings through, but it's going to give you more structure that allows those messages to come through with more ease because it takes away a lot of that anxiety and what if. The third thing is I would start showing up on social media. I would start posting, I would start creating content, and most importantly, I would flex that intuitive muscle. Now, here's the thing. I would not necessarily make this free readings on a live stream. Because if your goal is to get people to book, but you're giving away free readings on a live stream, unless you have a really large following, some people are just going to go, well, I'll just wait for next week's free readings and hopefully she'll get to me, especially if you give a fully loaded reading. This should be an appetizer, not the entire Thanksgiving meal. And so often I see people come to me and say, Tanza, I tried doing free readings and no one booked. You're giving away too much, or you're giving away exactly what you do. So what I started doing in my early days was I would give some intuitive insight for the week ahead. I would pull 3 cards for the week. This was nothing like my signature session. So people would get to see me channel, they'd get to see me bring through the messages, give intuitive readings, but they were totally different from what my paying sessions were. So even though they were seeing it, it was nothing like having an actual session for themselves. So that would be the third thing I would do, is flex that intuitive muscle. Fourth, I would start inviting. Let people know, when are you available? What does it look like to have a session with you? When are your openings? What are your prices? Let them know and invite them to book. I would make some shareable content so that more people start finding my page or my account, following it. I would make sure I was being consistent with my content as well, so that people were knowing what to expect and kept checking in. Even if the algorithm wasn't promoting my page, I would make sure that I was creating shareable content so people would think, oh yeah, it's Monday, Tanza always posted an intuitive insight for the week. I'm going to go check out what she posted. I would engage with others, other accounts, other groups, people in a similar niche. I would go and actually take time to engage on social media, whatever your platform is. I would take some time to learn to market. If you want to have a business online and you want to learn how to attract clients, marketing is going to become a part of your life. It really is. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just go learn the basics, how to create content, how to invite with ease, how to write copy or create a headline that grabs attention. What kind of things can you learn? This could be go grab a marketing book. This can be through scrolling through social media yourself and going, what posts really catch my eyes? Like basic stuff. Go start embracing the fact that you're going to be a marketer as well, and go learn the skills to support that. This is the same with learning heart-centered sales. You don't have to be salesy or spammy or anything like that, but you need to understand how sales works for you and how, your selling style, how you like to sell. Are people booking through a link? Are they having a clarity call? Which, by the way, if you don't have a high value program, I don't suggest having a free call. Put your prices out there, put it out there so it's just super easy for people to book and pay and have their session. So I would learn heart-centered sales though, so that you can get confident with knowing how to sell, how to invite people, and how to just do it consistently without riding the roller coaster of lots of people book and then no one books, and lots of people book and no one books, because that doesn't set us up for success long-term. That exhausts us and also puts us on an emotional roller coaster as well. And the ninth thing I would do is launch a high-value program. I broke down earlier what a high-value program is, but I would launch it much sooner than I did. So with my business, when I launched my first high-value program, my business went from generating just under $30,000 year after year to generating $153,000 in just 12 months. That's a big difference. So for me, this was life-changing. But here's the thing. I had clients asking me to mentor them for years. I remember my first year in business being asked when I was going to start mentoring and that she was interested and wanted to sign up. And I said I would think about it. I didn't launch a high value program for years later because I had it in my mind. I had to do this work for X amount of years, or I had to write a book, or I had to reach this milestone. And I mean, even when I was doing all the things, open mediumship events, teaching classes, doing group readings in different cities, traveling around doing spiritual festivals, it still didn't really occur to me that I could actually have a high value program. The only option that ever occurred to me was having a mentorship, which was like a year long, and that was that. None of the other things really caught my eye or resonated. I didn't realize that was a possibility. Nowadays, knowing what I know, I would go back and launch a high value program as soon as my clients started showing me that they were looking for it, or as soon as I started feeling called to help my clients deeper. It supports your clients more. It's going to allow you more freedom and flexibility in your business. It's going to allow you to work more in depth with your clients, and the results they get are incredible. Incredible. So I would launch one ASAP. And if you're having this thought of like, well, who am I to teach? Or, I should do this for X amount of years. I get that. I really, really do. But I was actually listening to a book. I wish I remembered what the name of the book was called. But they were talking about how the best teachers are often the ones who have recently learned something. Because after we do things for years and years and years, sometimes it just becomes so second nature or so part of what we do that we're not actually intentional about what we're doing. We don't actually realize that we're doing this. So when we're still starting out, we still have that awareness. Think of it like driving. When you drive a car, sometimes we pick up bad habits over the years. We don't always have our hands in the right places. We're not always setting our mirrors perfectly each and every time we get in the vehicle. Like, people pick up bad habits along the way that we don't want our kids to learn when they're learning to drive. It's the same with everything. The longer we do it, the more we can kind of slip on some bad habits. The more we also pick up tips and tricks, though, that do work. We just have to think of it from the mind of a beginner. And so often what happens is I see people say, no, I have to wait before I can launch a high value program. And then they watch the mentors who've been doing this for years and years, or have TV shows, or have massive followings, and they watch their peers struggle because them themselves are ahead of it. They're already doing this work. But the newbies who are just starting out are feeling incredibly unsupported because that great big name mentor is working with hundreds of clients and mentees and does not have that high touch point support available to those who are just starting out and are craving that support. That's where you come in. Can you help them? If so, yes, you're ready to have a high value program. And I talk about that a whole lot more on the Modern Day Mystic podcast. I highly recommend you go check it out. You can take a listen and go look and see, does this resonate for you? Is your business ready for a high value program? So I hope those 10 steps are helpful. But to break it down and really quickly recap, number 1, I would set up my foundations, including closing the loops on what do I need to have a business in my province or in my state. What is my platform I'm going to use? What am I calling my business? Those types of things. Go close those loops. That's your foundation. Number 2, create your signature session. Stand out. Set yourself up for success from the get-go. Don't just do what everyone else is doing. Instead, really allow yourself to trust in your session and create something that's unique to you and is an experience for your clients. And charge a higher price for it. I would flex my intuitive muscle. Go create some content that people can watch you work and see that, even if it's a pick a card pile, something like that. You know what I mean? Go show off your intuitive abilities though. I would make shareable content. It's going to get you more likes, more followers. I would engage with others. I would learn to market. I would learn heart-centered sales. I would launch a high-value program. And the 10th and final, I would rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And of course, some of those, like setting up your foundations, once you set that up once, it's done. But it might grow. You might get on your social media platform and then you might decide to, create your own website, make something simple. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. The rest of the steps. Your signature session, you'll get it done. You'll get it figured out, but you might work with it for a year and then go, I feel like it's time to realign these rates and bump that price up. Go do it. Maybe it's time for an update. Go do it. Maybe you've already worked with so many clients and you feel called to create another signature session. That's fine. You just don't want to have a whole pile of different kinds of sessions people can book where it leaves them lost and overwhelmed. We want to create the pathway for them and make this very, very easy. Because remember, a lot of the times when people are seeking out a healer, a psychic, a medium for guidance, it's because they're feeling confused and lost and overwhelmed in their life. If we add in 42 different types of sessions they have to read through and choose which one they want, chances are they're not going to make a decision. We're not helping them by doing that. So go and do that. Rinse and repeat. Create content, rinse and repeat. Engage with others, rinse and repeat. This is a part of your job. It's a part of your business. Don't neglect these steps, and I know you will build an incredibly successful spiritual business. I hope that this has been helpful. If it has, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you see all our newest content. The intention for the year is we're going to get some new content out there that is helpful for you as you're building and creating the businesses of your dreams. Have an amazing day, and we will chat soon.